I could stand here and give you facts. I could stand here and give you hard numbers about the impending climate disaster, the variance in pollutants from personal cars versus public transportation, the wealth and resources stolen from developing nations to line Western manufacturing corporations' pockets. I could stand here and wax poetic about the connection between quality of life and great urban infrastructure, how better transportation means greater livability. I have lived on both sides of that coin. I come from oil country. I know the weight of a 10-gallon hat upon my head and the stride that comes from cowboy boots. I don't own a car, so I'm not yet acquainted with the highways of Berlin, but I know well the highways tattooed across Texas, so call me ignorant. But highways interest me less than the staggering wonder that is public transportation. Let me explain. Several days ago, I stepped onto the S42 train at Zonale. I stepped off at Zonale exactly 58 minutes later. The idea of encircling a city the size of Berlin in almost exactly an hour is mind-blowing. The stereotype of German efficiency rings true for the Ringbahn, if not for the Bürgeramt. I had seen more of the city than someone with a car could, with less time, money, stress, and fuel. And my bike was stolen last week, so that wasn't really an option. Simply put, it was an amazing way to explore the city while avoiding long-distance travel, shifting it to a more environmentally conscious mode than cars, and taking advantage of the improved electrified transportation. But the scope of this conference is much bigger than just one city, bigger than 1 hour's journey. The very idea of travel has existed far longer than our modern modes of transportation. We evolved to be explorers beyond the bounds of what can be reached within an hour. The greatest journeys of humanity would not be counted in hours so much as in years, months, decades. The Industrial Revolution changed that mentality. Suddenly, journeys that would normally take months took a few days. Journeys that took days, hours. And we ran with it. Faster was better, no matter the cost to our health, our air, our water, our environment. We could fit more work into our lives, and what company doesn't want more work done for them? The very idea of a journey has shifted in our minds due to the speed that is killing our Earth. We can now travel faster than our bodies can adjust to time zones. What if our economy allowed for travel to become journeys, to be relished again? Would we be able to rest more effectively on a longer journey? Would the decision to undertake travel be taken more seriously, with greater weight due to the extended time of the journey? How would a sustainable journey to some of the countries represented at this conference actually take? And perhaps, more importantly, how would the journey affect us? Imagine it with me. Say, for example, we wanted to make a journey in rather than travel through Asia. If we started in Jakarta, Indonesia, a solar-powered ferry, much like the one Greta Thunberg took across the Atlantic, could be waiting for us there in the Tanjung Priok port. There it is. We could spend our time on board staring at the stars that are usually clouded by pollution in cities. 7 days later, in Manila, the Philippines, we might have actually begun to recognize constellations. Perhaps from Manila, another solar boat might be waiting for us. In the 4 days to Ho Chi Minh City, we might ease the knots in our stress-heavy shoulders and trade them for the knots at which our boat moves. By the time we land in Vietnam, we might have already eased some of the tension in our bodies. Now we could begin our land travel. The electric bus from Ho Chi Minh City to Bangkok, Thailand might take 24 hours, during which we could marvel at the lush jungle on either side of the borders. From Bangkok to the Yunnan province of China would be the first time we used multiple modes of transport. A train and electric bus would give us 2 days to meditate amongst the changing landscape. Maybe even start reading that book that we bought but never cracked open. 2.5 days of electric buses could carry us from the forests of southwestern China through the mountains of Bhutan to the border of India, where a train might be waiting to take us to Delhi over a mere day and a half. We might even finish that book. From Delhi, We could catch another high-speed rail with low emissions along the prosed ETE Decade corridor. Maybe in this reality, it is not just a freight railway, but a passenger one as well. The longest leg of the journey yet, Delhi through Islamabad, through Tehran into Istanbul, Turkey, would take 12 days, during which we might reach out to old friends and family we haven't spoken to in a long while, repairing some relationships that may have fallen by the wayside in our busy schedules. We could even continue our journey from Asia directly into the Balkans, taking a bus from Istanbul into North Macedonia, where we could then take a train to Kosovo, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina. We could take solar-powered ferries along the coasts of Montenegro and Albania. Perhaps we could extend this journey from the Balkans to the ports of North and West Africa, Tunisia, Morocco, all the way to Liberia in a matter of weeks and more solar-powered boats. No railways exist across the continent yet, but electric buses could carry us along the edge of the Sahara to the lush savanna of Uganda and Kenya over several days, taking care not to disturb the pristine wilderness of Nairobi National Park. Or perhaps we are journeying through South America, taking local electric buses from the southernmost tips of Chile and Argentina up through Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, across to Peru, and up to Colombia. How would journeying for days through these lush jungles and mountains fill our journals, our sketchbooks? Would another sustainably powered boat from Colombia to the port of Barahona, Dominican Republic, help us orient ourselves under stars different to those we saw in the skies over Southeast Asia in the Southern Hemisphere? Would the 4 days aboard a ship from Dominican Republic to Mexico bolster that knowledge? Obviously, the most sustainable practices in travel would be avoiding long-haul trips if possible, shifting away from flights and personal cars as we did for this imagined journey, and continuing to improve existing transportation options with more ecologically friendly power sources like solar, electricity, etc. These principles do not mean that we cannot build a future where journeys like the ones envisioned today are not only possible, but less frivolous, less fossil fuel dependent, and more intentional than our approach to travel today. Hopefully, we can reshape our attitude towards longer journeys away from the inconvenience of time and towards the opportunities for self-care, self-improvement, and self-awareness. Thank you.